The old theater on Blackwood Street had been closed for years. A relic of the past, its boarded-up doors and shattered windows whispered of a time long forgotten. But for Daniel Carter, a freelance film archivist, it was the perfect place to hunt for lost footage, old reels of forgotten cinema that collectors would pay fortunes for. Daniel had heard the rumors, whispers of an infamous lost reel, a film so disturbing it was banned before its premiere. Some claimed it was cursed, that anyone who watched it either disappeared or lost their minds. Of course, Daniel dismissed these as urban legends, the kind of nonsense that made collectors more desperate to find it. And so, when an anonymous tip led him to the Blackwood Theater, he didn't hesitate. He broke in through a side door, stepping into the stale, dust-laden air. His flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing rows of tattered seats and a screen rotting in its frame. Behind the auditorium, he found the film archive room, its door hanging ajar as if inviting him in. Inside, metal shelves stretched into the shadows, holding hundreds of film canisters. Most were labeled with dates from the 40s and 50s, but one sat alone on the highest shelf, unlabeled, its tin rusted at the edges. Daniel reached for it, his fingers tingling as they touched the cold metal. He pried it open, revealing a single reel of film. No markings, no title. His heartbeat quickened. Could this be it? The lost reel? His hands trembled with excitement as he grabbed the reel and rushed to the projection room. He had to see what was on it. The projector sputtered to life, casting flickering light onto the screen. The film began in silence. A black and white shot of a dimly lit room appeared, grainy and aged. A chair sat in the center, empty. Then, without warning, a figure stepped into frame, a woman in a hospital gown, her back turned to the camera. She twitched unnaturally, her limbs jerking as though she were a marionette held by unseen strings. The sound kicked in distorted whispers layered over a droning hum. Daniel's skin prickled. He leaned forward, eyes locked onto the screen. The woman's head twisted slowly, cracking bones echoing through the empty theater. When her face became visible, his stomach lurched. Her eyes were hollow pits, blacker than the void, and her mouth was unnaturally wide, stretching as if screaming, yet no sound came from her lips. Instead, the whispers grew louder, overlapping, speaking in a language Daniel couldn't understand. The film jumped, cutting erratically between frames. Each flash revealed something worse, bodies writhing in the darkness, hands pressed against the screen as though they were trying to escape. The chair in the center of the room was no longer empty. A figure sat in it now, a man, bound and gagged, his head lolling forward. The woman turned to him, her movements sharp and erratic. The whispers ceased, replaced by a single phrase spoken in a voice that didn't sound human. "Watch closely." Daniel's breath hitched. He wanted to stop the film, but his body refused to move. On screen, the woman reached out, fingers elongating into shadowy tendrils that wrapped around the man's skull. He convulsed violently, veins bulging beneath his skin. His eyes rolled back, and then the screen went black. Daniel gasped, his body breaking free from its paralysis. He scrambled to shut off the projector, but it kept running. The screen flickered back to life, showing the theater itself. His theater, the seats, the screen, the room he was sitting in, only now he wasn't alone. A shadowy figure stood in the back row. His flashlight flickered, his pulse hammered in his ears. He turned, heart pounding, but the theater was empty. When he faced the screen again, the figure had moved closer. 3 rows away now, its head tilted slightly, as if studying him. The whispers returned, now surrounding him, crawling under his skin. He gripped the arms of his seat, unable to tear his eyes from the screen. The film crackled, the picture distorting. The woman was back, standing directly in front of the camera. She slowly raised her arm and pointed. Directly at him. Daniel felt something brush against the back of his neck, He spun around, swinging the flashlight wildly. Nothing. Just empty air. His breath came in ragged gasps as he turned back to the screen. The woman was gone. The chair in the center of the room was empty again. Except. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. His hands began to tremble as he realized what he was seeing. He was now the one sitting in the chair. The whispers surged, turning into screams. The shadowy figure in the theater lunged forward, and Daniel finally found his voice, letting out a ragged, terrified scream. The screen went black. The reel spun to its end. Silence fell over the theater, and Daniel Carter was never seen again.